Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Charles here. Today we're going to discuss the subject of racism, because we're in the Balkans. Everybody knows the Balkans is filled with racists, right? They don't like black people, they don't like Americans, they don't like Muslims, they don't like Catholics, they don't like anybody here, right? And they made a candy called Negro, okay? So, anyway, when we talk about racism, this would be considered a very unpolitically correct. Would that be correct? Unpolitically correct. This would be considered very inappropriate in the USA because the term Negro is not a proper term that you can use to call people. Okay? When people talk about the Balkans here, and I've mentioned this in numerous videos, just yesterday a dark-skinned lady commented on a video. I think she's from Africa. She sent me a message and she said, what about blacks, and because on my video, are Muslims safe in Serbia? She said, what about black men and women in Serbia? And you know, I've mentioned this in many, many videos. I even write a blog post about it. You know, this whole region gets so mistreated in the media because it's so small, I think. And people want to control it and do things here, so they make up these things. I know so many black people in Serbia. There's a lady named Sheila. She married this guy. She lives in a little village here. She brought 4 of her little African-American kids with her. There's numerous football players, some good friends of mine that were here in Sremska Mitrovica, in Pančevo, in Belgrade. Down in Niš, I was walking on the streets in Niš one day, and this big black guy was jogging. He said, hey, are you Charles? I said, yeah, that's me. He said, hey, I watched you before I came to Serbia. I'd never heard of Serbia. I looked it up and found your video. There was a beautiful, beautiful girl named Heather from Louisiana. She came here to Serbia in Belgrade for 3 months. This girl from Ireland, beautiful young lady. I wrote a blog post about her. I asked these people, I said, how does it feel to be black in Serbia? You know, to be dark-skinned in Serbia. I always get kind of nervous when I say it because I don't want to use the wrong term. You know, I always try to be really politically correct because we're Americans, and Serbians are like, huh? Why don't you call them black? Why don't you call them a Negro? You know, and that. They're not as politically correct here. I wasn't mocking Serbians, but that's just how it is, because they make fun of Americans for being politically correct, and sometimes we are, too much. But the way I see being politically correct, it's like having manners, okay? This is just my view. You don't have to agree with me. If somebody wants to be called an African-American, call them an African-American, okay? If I want to be called beautiful Sir Charles, call me Sir Charles, okay? It's just a matter of less hassle, less problems. So it's just a matter of decency, in my opinion. And some white people in the USA think it's ignorant. They say, well, how come they are Negro? They call themselves Negro. They call themselves nigga. All these things like that. But the term Negro, the reason it's inappropriate, for many years it was considered acceptable. During the early civil rights movement, before the civil rights movement, it was considered an okay term. But previous to that, the slave owners used to call them Negro. And that's why it's inappropriate now. Martin Luther King even addressed in his famous speech, the I Have a Dream speech, he said Negro. When it started becoming not correct was in the 70s, in late 60s, early 70s, when, what was his name? Malcolm X. He's the one that threw a fit about the term Negro. And he said that he said it's less offensive to call me black than a Negro. Something to that term. And what else? And so he coined the phrase Afro-American, which kind of worked into African-American. So now it's appropriate to call him African-American. Okay? Just recently in the news, actually on my birthday, November 7th, the U.S. Army had released a memo saying it was okay to refer to him as Negro. And then they immediately, after a huge firestorm of angry messages and angry mess, the Army released a statement that said, we apologize for our use of the term Negro. We will never use the term Negro again. It's been removed from our books. I'll add that link in there. It was from CNN, so it actually happened on my birthday, kind of ironic. But the term Negro, when it's appropriate to use the term Negro, is when you're talking about historical context. Okay? There's different funds, like the United Negro College Fund. They help African Americans find funding for college and things. There was the Negro League, which was a baseball league that was all blacks. During segregation, they had the Black League and the White League, and they called these the Negro League. So it's considered a non-appropriate term now. In Spanish, negro means black, of course. In Serbian, it's crno, is black. Crnjac is a black man, I think, right? Srpkinja. Oh, no, that's Serbian. Jesus God, I'm an idiot. Nyanka, maybe. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But anyway, Negro candy. Racist candy here in Serbia. Not very politically correct. But, you know, what do you do? Let me show this to you and get off here. Every black person that's come here has had an awesome time. No problem. The candy's good. I'll show you up close. It's got honey, blueberries, and licorice in it. It's good. I mean, it's okay. It grows on you if you like licorice. It's got an inside it's filled with like a licoricey thing. What else was I going to say about racism? I think that's it. Oh, it makes me sweat whenever I start discussing race issues. Here's the candy. That's what she looks like. You can see, actually it's got a white man on it. Maybe they realize that the candy's named Negro. They don't want to be associated with a black person, so they put a white chimney sweep, is what we call that in English, on there. Honey, blueberries, licorice. And here's what the candy looked like. Negro. You wouldn't want to take this to South Chicago and go up to a gangbanger. Hey, you want some of this candy, bud? You probably get beat up. Anyway, my friends, there's Negro candy. You know, did you know the term cracker, which black people, I don't care if they call me a cracker. I don't care what they call me. It doesn't matter. They can call me a Caucasian, white boy, cracker. But the term cracker, actually, it's offensive. It dates back to slavery, I heard. And it's like when the white man cracked the whip, when he went crack, you know, smacked them, they called him a cracker. So I always thought it was because you're white, because most crackers are white. I've never seen a black cracker. Anyway, be politically correct, people. Don't be genius.